Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is Friday, February 18th edition of the show. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And we have got a lot of juicy topics to hit on today, my friend. The college football and NFL world seem to never sleep. There is always something interesting going on, which is why we are here. And we are going to talk about the whole damn thing. First off, Chris, how's everything going, my brother?
It's fine. Just another day.
That's it. Yeah, as we were recording this, there's been all kinds of weather issues and whatnot because we had big thunderstorms roll through, and it took us from, 72 degrees down to it's going to be in the 20s this evening, so a 50-degree drop in one day. I mean, this is absurd. So we'll be back up to, the 60s, I think, by the end of the weekend, but good gracious. Just a drastic change. Well, let's dive into some of the biggest topics. I'll do the rundown here in a little bit, but I'll start us off with some huge college football news. We haven't normally gotten things like this late in the calendar. I mean, it's February 18th is the date of the show, and Jayden Daniels, the quarterback for Arizona State, has announced that he is entering the transfer portal. Now, again, that does not necessarily mean that he is going to leave, but more signs point to him going than not, right? There's just so much chaos going on inside the Sun Devils program. First, I want to get your thoughts on this, and then maybe we can, take a gander at where he might end up.
Thoughts are, I think this is a play for a championship, or at least a run at it. I think he sees the pieces there and around the Pac-12, and he believes there's no chance at him winning the title where he's at in his time remaining in college. I think he thinks he has the ability to do that, or at least to compete at big boy football. And the other thing is national television. I think if I can't play for a title, I at least want to be on national TV all the time. Kyler Murray never had a chance to play for a title. Tyler Murray, his teams at Oklahoma were never winning a championship. But they were on national TV a whole lot, and he went number one overall. And I think Jayden Daniels realizes, man, I bet a lot of these damn people in the country don't know who I am. And I'm one of the best quarterbacks on the planet right now. And it's just a matter of I need eyeballs on me.
That would certainly make sense. It could also be the whole situation of he still needs to be developed. I mean, there were still mistakes that were made last year, and of course the years before that. He was still such a raw prospect. And I don't know how much development was being done at Arizona State. Like their offense is very Wisconsin-like. There's a lot of running the football, a lot of counting on your offensive line to get things done for you, a lot of pushing people around and whatnot. And he is a dynamic playmaker. If he can ever get everything wrapped up into one nice little package, he could be an NFL, draft day guy. He could be a first-round prospect if he can go to the right place where he will be developed. And the places that you would normally think that he would go, at least where quarterbacks would want to go, have kind of already got their guys, right?
Not everybody. There's a ton of places in the country, I think, that that he can still be able to go to and find the ability to play.
Oh yes, absolutely. But your Lincoln Rileys and the places where you go to be an NFL quarterback, such as for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, etc. Even Oklahoma with Jeff Lebby, like they've already got their guy for this season. Now, obviously, you may come in and want to spruce up the competition a little bit, something like that. But if you're Daniels, why would you go somewhere?
You don't think that Little Biles at Arkansas couldn't do that with that offense? You don't think a DC like or an OC like that can't do that? Has an offense that's super quarterback friendly and puts up a bunch of stats, and also in the SEC West, where you're gonna have a shitload of games on national TV.
And don't get me wrong, I absolutely believe so.
You don't think Brian Kelly could do that?
Now that's somebody that I was going to bring up.
These places don't have quarterbacks that anybody's super married to. Hang on, I'd give you 3 or 4 other places in the SEC that aren't married to their guy, that he's probably better than or good enough at least to compete with.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that. Arkansas,
and that's just the SEC, man. We haven't even dove into the other conferences.
So I'll read off. There's 15 potential transfer destinations for Jayden Daniels. Athlon Sports has already put it out. He could decide to return back to Arizona State, obviously. The first one on their list, though, is California. Now, they've already added Jack Plummer from Purdue this offseason, but I mean, he would be an obvious upgrade there. But at the same time, I know that he's from California, and that would kind of be a return close to home. But what development is being done at Cal? And like you said, how many eyeballs are going to be on him there?
Nah, yeah. You go to Cal, everything I said is not correct at all.
Right.
If he chose Cal, everything I just said, you can throw out the window. He doesn't care about playing on national TV. He doesn't care about playing for a title. And with you, he doesn't care about being developed for an NFL quarterback. He just wants to go home.
True. Team number 2 on this list, LSU. Now, Miles Brennan's the projected starter for Brian Kelly's first season, but there's no depth behind him. Brennan has been a backup in the past. I don't know that Brennan was coming back specifically to be the starter. I think this could be an option for him because you're going to have a ton of games on TV. You'll be there for BK's first season. That could certainly work.
So I'll tell you this. I know for a fact Miles was absolutely coming back to be the starter. I think Miles came back because he saw the landscape at LSU and he saw what was going on, and he thought, "Oh, I could be the starter here." And this would upset Miles. This would suck for Miles. But the better thing for LSU would be to bring Jayden back.
That would certainly make sense. That would certainly make sense. Missouri, another team on here. Tigers have 3 options right now. Brady Cook, Tyler Macon, and Sam Horn. They're all going to be battling for that starting nod. They don't have a ton of experience, any of those guys. Daniels would be an upgrade immediately.
And these are all SEC schools, but there's other places that he could go and be just as good and get just as many eyeballs.
I've got one. I've got the very next one for you. All right? Penn State. I think that we know.
They need a quarterback.
Yeah, we know what Sean Clifford is, right? I don't think you could kind of push Sean Clifford a little bit, bridge the gap between Clifford and the freshmen that are coming in because they've got a massive freshman that's coming in. That could absolutely be a spot for him to go and maybe take that team to heights that they haven't seen in a few years.
Yeah, but I mean, to say all of those spots have been filled is just a ridiculous statement. Okay, that's an insane statement.
They've got a few others, UCLA, but DTR's there. Daniel's hometown is San Bernardino. It's not far from LA, so if that's part of the thing, if he's really wanting to go home, okay. West Virginia, Daniels might not be the best fit under Graham Harrell, who's the new OC. Wisconsin, they were in the mix for Caleb Williams, but I think that Caleb Williams situation was a lot to do with Bobby Ingram coming in as the new OC, right? There was a family connection there.
Okay, but at the end of the day, he would be a massive upgrade for Wisconsin. If you're Wisconsin, you'd still do it. And if you're Jayden Daniels, that's still a good deal for you. That's a better deal than Arizona State.
True. Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be huge. It'd be huge.
I think it'd be huge, too.
That'd be massive. In Mike Norvell's system, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Iowa State, Hunter Deckers is there now. He's set to take over now that Brock Purdy is gone. But, maybe the Cyclones pursue a proven quarterback. They've got Oklahoma on here. They've got New Mexico on here. Neither of those, I believe. Maybe Oklahoma works if Dylan Gabriel's not healthy. Maybe.
Nah, but Dylan Gabriel's fine. Doing fine.
They've got Virginia Tech on this list, but they've already taken 2 transfers. I know they took Grant Wells and they took Jason Brown. Grant Wells, of course, from Marshall, and he is a stud, absolute stud. I don't think Virginia Tech fits. San Diego State has already added Braxton Burmeister from Virginia Tech, but Daniels would certainly work at San Diego State. But again, you're going to a place that is known for defense. Offense, there's not a whole lot of development going on there. You know. Okay, and then they've got Syracuse on here. Like I think my favorite one out of all of these would be either Penn State or LSU.
Well, those are the 2 biggest out of all of them. I mean, by far.
But also, I think those are jobs that one, he can win, would have a lot of eyeballs on him, and I think that he could develop under those 2 coaching staffs.
I don't know about development at Penn State. Have we ever seen anything from them that they're just putting NFL quarterbacks out?
No, but they've got a new offensive coordinator in there, and they seem to do a little bit better this year.
Players that anybody's real excited about. I mean,
they got some dudes.
I would take so many of those other jobs over Penn State. Penn State's the one if you want to compete for a national title and you want to be on the national stage, it's fine. But development and getting drafted, you're not going to have a ton of highlight reels with that receiving core compared to some of these other jobs that you could go to. Places that you could go to and compete at. And plenty of other offensive minds, I think, are known far better than Franklin.
Yeah, you might be right. Outside of LSU, you got a favorite somewhere that you would like for him to go?
I wouldn't mind seeing him at Arkansas. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, him in Browse's offense could be outstanding. Now, KJ Jefferson, the incumbent starter, but again, I think he's better than KJ Jefferson.
I know. Sam made a big Sam Pittman head coach Arkansas, made a big deal after the first year of not going to the transfer portal and trusting KJ. And I love KJ, okay? And I think KJ is a really good quarterback. But after a year where you realize, this team's a little bit better than I thought they were. Nobody had any expectations last year. And so they were just a good story. Now this year, no, there's a lot of expectations. And expectations might change the idea that we don't hit the transfer portal and we go after somebody who's real dynamic, who might be able to do something special here at Arkansas this year.
Now, you certainly make a very good point.
That's the problem Sam's going to have, is if you want to be loyal's great. But at some point in time, last year was the greatest year Arkansas fans have had in a long, long time. But now expectations come. And if you do the same thing you did last year, you did not meet expectations.
True. Moving on from there, topic number 2 here, NBC, who is, just got done with the Super Bowl, and they are doing the Winter Olympics right now, etc. In college football, they have only really been interested in Notre Dame in the past. But new reports from Front Office Sports have come out, and it says NBC Sports is expected to make a major push for the Big Ten Conference's rights. Sources tell Front Office Sports. The Big Ten could command fees of up to, check this out, buddy, $1.1 billion annually on the open market, says a source, or says sources. NBC views the combination of the Big Ten along with its existing deal with Notre Dame football as the perfect 1-2 punch. With its $100 million per year deal with the NHL off the books, NBC now has the cash and the ambition to boost its college portfolio. This is very interesting. Obviously, Fox and ESPN have held the Big Ten rights for quite some time, but the Big Ten is doing this maybe the exact right way, in the way that it looks like the SEC will be doing things going forward, and that is they're just knocking these things out like every 6 years. Like, just let the money continue to grow and don't get locked into anything that the ACC has done, right? ACC's contracts are done all the way through 2036. This is a gigantic number, $1.1 billion annually on NBC. And brother, they're getting rid of NBC Sports. Like, their standalone channel is being done away with. I'm curious how they're going to make this work. Are they really just going to pay that much money for, football and basketball?
I don't know the answer to that. I wonder, is there any chance that if they got this deal, they could bring back NBC Sport, or they just do it all on the Big Ten Network? Like, they would now own the Big Ten Network, and with the deal like this, and that would be their secondary channel, and everything would be on it. It would just be on a lot more channels than it is now.
It's definitely interesting. We had already heard about CBS being interested in the Big Ten, but with all that we know of the deal that CBS had with the SEC, would they really be willing to go in that far to get a deal done if NBC is talking about paying $1 billion? I mean, that is, or not $1 billion, but I'm curious if this is going to be another one of those where Fox and ESPN split the deal, so each didn't have to pay the entire thing, and they just had to draft out which games. Like, this is going to be pretty sizable.
Well, CBS is going to get left holding the bag here somewhere, I think, because they have done nothing but take deals that are only in the best interest of CBS. They have had no partnership ideas at all. They have had no willingness to give to the SEC or to renegotiate or to allow anything other than, we want to take 100% of this contract and we're willing to let you leave. They want to be cheap, okay? And the same thing with the NCAA tournament. They bent Mark Emmert over a barrel, and they just took him for all he was worth in that. And people say, oh, great, well, they have the tourney. Yeah, but they have the tourney on for beans compared to what it's worth. And at some point in time, when the next deal comes up, they won't get it. They'll lose that. And their foothold in college sports is going to be completely gone, unless they're willing to be a player somewhere else or somewhere smaller, because they just don't want to spend the money. So I'm not worried about CBS and what they're doing. They want to be cheap, and they're going to lose all their products because they want to be cheap. I think this is huge for NBC. It's a big deal. I think it's smart for NBC because I don't know that they were making much money with that hockey deal. They are hemorrhaging money with all of these Olympic deals. Just hemorrhaging money, especially with this one. And so they realize we need to start going after things that are basically safe, that are guaranteed investments that we know for a fact will hit, will pay off, will make us money. College football is that. In the Big Ten, if you can't have the SEC, the Big Ten is the one you get. Those are the only two conferences. Now, that's not the only two conferences that you would ever want, but those are, without question, not even close, the two best.
Oh, yes. You're not wrong about that. This is, again, we're looking at $1 billion annually. They would dwarf what the SEC is making. Just absolutely dwarf it. The SEC's 10-year, $3 billion deal with Disney starts up in 2024. It's 10 years. So, they are going to make an absolute shit ton of money. And I'm curious to see how this ends up going. Is Fox going to stay in this? Do they split it between Fox and NBC? Who gets it? I'm so interested in this. So interested in these media rights deals. What
this does for NBC, I would say what this does for NBC is it tells them owning the Midwest. I don't know if we already said that or not, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right. Let me knock out these podcast reads right quick. Remind everybody, go over to the website, winningcureseverything.com. It's got everything you need to know about us, where to follow, where to subscribe, etc. All of the different episodes, all of the different segments can be found over there, including the podcasts, etc. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. Help us out there. You can leave a nice 5-star review at Spotify, on, Apple, and et cetera. There's a bunch of different places. Whatever your favorite podcast app is, if they let you leave a review, leave a review. We would appreciate it. Along with that, you can always follow and subscribe, whatever, on YouTube. If you're watching right now, we certainly appreciate it. Go ahead and like the video for us and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Share it out with your buddies, all that good stuff. And jump into the chat. Be a part of the conversation. We would love to hear what you guys have to say. Twitter. You can always follow us on Twitter. You can see them on the screen right there, but if you don't see it, you're just listening, at Gary WCE, at Chris B. Giannini, and, of course, at Winning Cures. Those are the spots there. The show is brought to you each and every time out by BetUS. That is where the game begins. It's America's premier online sportsbook. Fantastic sportsbook. Type it in your browser, betus.com, or just click the link in the description. Along with that, I host several shows over there, but go to betustv.com. You can find everything that I do over there, including the college football show, and right now we're doing a bunch of how-to videos. So we had Scott Kellen, who's a world-renowned NFL gambler, had him on this week, discussing how to win at sports betting, etc. So a lot of different stuff coming up. I think we're doing one next week on like cryptocurrency and betting odds and just all kind of stuff. So go ahead and check it out over at betustv.com. Next up on the docket, my friend, Jim Harbaugh has signed a new contract extension, and I think all of us expected this coming out of this past season. You know, there was all the talk about the NFL, but then there was a lot of talk about, is he using this to maybe get some more money out of Michigan? And I got to tell you, it wasn't crazy. The contract extension pays about $6.7 million a year, somewhere around there. It's for 5 years. The thing that surprised me, Chris, is the buyout is essentially nothing. From what's being reported right now, all the details that have come out, the buyout starts in his first year at only $3 million. And then it's $2.25 million after year 2, $1.5 million after year 3, then it's $750,000 after year 4, and $0 in year 5. I mean, this is kind of insane. I thought he would have gotten a little more stability, but this is the kind of contract that you and I thought would be best for the universities. This seems to work out better. Just make it incredibly incentive-laden. This adds another $2.7 roundabout million per year to his deal. I think it's pretty good for both parties, but really the winner in this seems to be Michigan, right?
No, and that's what I've said all along. Jim made it abundantly clear last year when he reworked his deal that he is not in this for the money. He has made a ton of money in the NFL. He made a ton of money with his first couple of years at Michigan. He believes in his heart of hearts that college coaches should not be paid like NFL coaches. He thinks that this is a different type of deal, and he was willing to take less money. Everyone said, "Oh, that's until he made the playoffs, and now he's going to renegotiate. He's going to want a ton more." No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's a simple man, and buyout wise, Jim's not leaving for another college. Okay, and this college isn't going to. They're not going to fire him. If they talked to him after a bad season and asked him to walk away, he'd walk away. Like, he truly wants to do what's best for Michigan. He might be the only coach out there working right now that is truly not just a mercenary. Like Brian Kelly is a complete mercenary. Nick Saban is just a mercenary. He's not an Alabama guy. This is not his home. He doesn't care anything about that state. Lane Kiffin's a mercenary. Okay? Jim Harbaugh's there because he wants to be, not because he can't be anywhere else.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't know. I mean, obviously, we found this year that his NFL stock might not be as high right now, but you give him one more good season, I mean, there's no telling. The NFL could come calling at any point for a proven Super Bowl, not winning, but Super Bowl making coach. Like, he was great in the NFL. So he can certainly be called up at any point. The buyout stuff was interesting to me, but maybe that was only because the way that his deal was reworked last year, that part kind of surprised me, that they wouldn't just stick with him, and it was we want to keep you, but we're paying you too much money for you to not be, a national title winning quarterback, make it to the playoff every year kind of coach. So that's the only thing that was surprising here. But the deal, I think, is pretty good on both sides. Jim's a well-respected head coach, making pretty good money. And like you said, it's not about the money for him, but this is a sign of respect and maybe a little bit of a thank you, right?
That's what I think.
I think so as well. Now, moving over to the other team in the rivalry, Ohio State. Their AD, Gene Smith, had a lot to say to The Athletic in the past couple of days. First, I want to talk about what he said about expansion. Now, he did say that he fully expects it to go to 12. We know all the different things that are going on as far as playoff expansion and whatnot, but he believes that it's going to get to 12, just like I think everybody that has a brain believes right now. But he thinks that, and an interesting thing that he brought up as far as hosting playoff games, because he thinks that is still going to be the plan going forward, is that these teams, 5 through whatever, are going to be hosting playoff games. And he said in that situation, he is not planning on Ohio State actually hosting a playoff game. He is planning on taking that thing down to Indianapolis, and he said he might recommend hosting one of these still theoretical playoff games at an indoor facility, particularly Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. The issue in Smith's mind is, quote, not the potential for miserable weather conditions for fans or players or some overdeveloped sense of fairness. He said, I don't want players crashing into a frozen playing surface. You find that interesting?
I find that ingenuous.
I think that he might have already had conversations with Lucas Oil Stadium, and they would be willing to pay a gargantuan sum of money to Ohio State.
That's what this is. And I'm telling you, anytime some administrator from anywhere in the world tries to sell me something because of safety, the first thing I do is start looking around thinking I'm about to get screwed right here. We got a fucking coming. Okay? Because they don't care about your safety. I promise you, they don't give a damn about your safety.
No, there's something too. I also look at it this way. The way that Ohio State is built, it is not a Michigan. It is not something like that where playing in those conditions would actually be beneficial. Ohio State's got speed, man. Like they have a ton of speed, and playing in an indoor surface or on an indoor surface would certainly help out in that situation.
Well, the problem is what happens when it's not Ohio State, when it's in Michigan. In the playing outdoors in the gray, what happens if it's a Wisconsin? What happens if it's in Iowa or Penn State? And it is beneficial to your conference.
Oh, I think those teams would absolutely just stick it out at home. Just do what they need to do at home. So
you're saying that the team he's going to say that they would allow the teams to have a choice?
That's what he's saying. He's saying if Ohio State was selected to host a playoff game, that he would take Ohio State down to Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis.
But he's not going to have that say. Surely the say can't be him. It has to be from the school.
Well, I mean, it's got to be from the school, but he's the AD, so you know.
If you take it to if you take it to Lucas Oil, I'll tell you this, and this is an emphatic statement, definitive. Every Ohio State opponent that they have to play would much rather play them in Lucas Oil Stadium than play them in the Horseshoe.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. 100%.
They would all rather play them in Lucas Oil than the Horseshoe. That's it. That's the truth. So every opponent that they could have is going to be applauding this situation and going to be supporting him. And the first time that they run into somebody that gets in there and that other team brings a bunch of people and that other team somehow finds a way and beats up on Ohio State and they lose a big game like that, it'll instantly go back to the shoe and they'll never move.
You're probably right.
Amazingly, nobody will give one damn about safety. It's spectacular how quickly people will stop giving a shit about safety as soon as it no longer meets their narrative. That's why no one who tries to sell you stuff because of safety, they're all full of crap. They're all full of crap.
You're not wrong. You were not wrong. He also brought up all the mess that is going on regarding the alliance. Now, you remember, I believe it was last week, it might have been even further back than that, when we talked about the idea that the Big Ten might do away with divisions and that they might drop back to having only 8 conference games. The Big Ten ADs have apparently decided that they want to stick with 9. It is not beneficial to them to move away from 9 conference games. They think it's better for their TV contract. They think it's better for all the teams in the conference to play more teams from their conference as opposed to playing somebody from the ACC or the Pac-12. He did say, Smith said, the other day that it's true, particularly the bit about the Big Ten's value compared to that of the ACC and the Pac-12. And he said that's why many administrators and coaches across college sports were scratching their heads about the group's formation last summer, about this alliance. The Big Ten is big enough to push its own weight around, and he said it doesn't make a lot of sense to partner with schools that aren't worth as much, right? Like, it's basically, there's always going to be competing interests between these conferences, but I found this very interesting that he just kept it incredibly real. Like, we don't have to schedule the ACC and the Pac-12. Like, those matchup, we are Ohio State. Now, obviously, he's speaking from the role of Ohio State, which I believe is maybe the biggest brand in the sport, but also definitely the biggest brand in the Big Ten. He's looking at it as, we are going to schedule Alabama, and we're going to schedule Notre Dame, and we're going to schedule Texas, and blah, blah. Like, we're going to schedule the teams that we want to play, who we think it would make sense for us to do home and homes with. We are not going to be suckered into, and they might do a Pac-12 deal, right? They might do Ohio State and USC or something along those lines, but they are certainly not going to be doing Ohio State and Oregon State every year, Ohio State and Wake Forest, stuff like that, because it doesn't make any sense. So he said it makes a lot more sense for us to play somebody inside of our own conference for that 9th game, as opposed to rotating out ACC and Pac-12 teams. I think he's 100% dead on here.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Just stay in conference, play more conference games. These alliance games aren't going to get you the money you need.
Exactly. And now, obviously, Oregon State or Rutgers or whatever might feel differently, but also for a team like Rutgers that is in that conference, or Maryland or whoever else, when you bring Ohio State in, that's pretty much a guaranteed sellout, right? And they are going to rotate onto your schedule much more often when you have 9 games as opposed to 8. So, yeah, they might still do away with divisions, but I think the 9-game conference schedule certainly makes more sense for them. And I was glad he actually came out and said something. Like, I love the fact that Gene Smith is willing to speak openly about this stuff, because a lot of ADs would not say a word. They won't say anything. So let's move off of college football. Let's talk some NFL right quick. You good with that?
Yeah.
All right. The Los Angeles Rams, of course, won the Super Bowl. We talked about that on the show on Tuesday. Did you see not the parade, but the celebration? Did you see that from, what was it, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it was?
The second the Super Bowl was over, I muted all Rams, Cooper Cup, anything impossible. I think I'm footballed out. I actually really enjoyed the extra week of football, but it's one of those things where I had pushed away from the table, and if you brought dessert to me, I think I'd just pass. This was exactly the amount of football I wanted and needed, and I have done nothing with this. Hey, I don't care. Los Angeles, hang on, I'm about to say this right now. Los Angeles is the least deserving sons of bitches that out of all 32 teams in the country, least deserving fan base on the planet to get a title. All right? Stan Kroenke is a piece of garbage owner. And that guy's now got a Lombardi that he gets to hoist up. No. Don't ask me to be happy for those people. I don't give a damn about any of it. So the second they won, I didn't give one shit.
This plays into exactly what you're saying, because, brother, there was nobody at that celebration. I'm telling you, nobody cared out in L.A. They did not give one half of a damn that the Rams won the Super Bowl. It was hilarious. Now, first thing, did you see Matt Stafford and his reaction to that photographer falling off of that stage?
Yeah, because you guys sent it.
Yeah, we were talking about it in the group chat.
No matter how much I tried to hide from it, my friends still spam me with shit that I don't want to watch.
I could not believe his reaction to this. That photographer, which I shared out the video on Twitter if anybody wants to go over and check it out. I'm telling you, this was a scary incident. And I understand where Stafford was coming from, but my God, he might have been drunk. He might have been all this other stuff, but he looked like a frat boy that was just trying to stay out of trouble. And
he is a frat boy.
He's 37 years old. Like,
I don't care.
I
Look
know,
at how
I
he
know.
acts. Look at who he. Oh, but he's paid his dues, guys. Oh, but he paid his dues to take some fucking country club.
Oh my God, his reaction.
The NFL. Be a goddamn professional. He is not. He's not deserving. And anybody would have put a gold jacket on him. I'm done. Done with it.
That situation though was very interesting because the photographer fell off the stage, and I believe that was
she's in bad shape, right?
Yeah,
she's in real bad shape.
She fractured her spine. So I shared out the GoFundMe to go help her out. But man,
you don't think the Stafford family's helping her out?
I don't know.
You don't think Stan Kroenke's not going to help her out?
So far, nobody said anything about it.
Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story about Stan Kroenke that I heard today.
Okay.
Today, all right. My boy T-Bob. You know my boy T-Bob, right?
Oh yeah, T-Bob Avery, right?
Yeah. It's one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. I don't like gifts. People don't send me gifts. Gary, stop sending me gifts. I don't like gifts. But you send me a what's that thing called? Cameo,
yeah.
From a boy T-Bob Avery. He's an old LSU center back in the day, offensive lineman. But he really wasn't famous for being an LSU offensive lineman. Okay, he's famous for being T-Bob after that. And he talked about a story about Stan Kroenke while he was with the Rams. Okay, the player rep for the Rams sat every rookie down when they were coming in and told them all, we have a rule here in St. Louis. Do not look Stan Kroenke in the eyes. And he said, whoa. I didn't expect to, see the owner and go up and talk to him. He said, no, son, no. Damn sure don't speak to him. Don't make eye contact with him. And if he looks at you, you avert your gaze. That's the son of a bitch Stan Kroenke is.
Now, is that just rookies or was that just players?
Stan, that was players. That was his players. So what do you think he thinks of the fans? The regular old Joes that pack his pockets full of billions from Walmart and from them stadiums. What do you think he thinks of those people?
I'm sure it's not good.
Look, Robert Kraft ain't a perfect man by any stretch of the imagination. But Robert Kraft loves his players. Never once is ever going to have a problem with his players. That's a man. That's the reason these guys fight so hard against the owners. It's because of owners like that.
True. You're 100% right.
That guy's a piece of shit. Now he's got a Lombardi to put in his office.
Which is just, it goes to show that you can, in fact, buy a trophy, and that just sucks.
So this is the reason I hated the Rams in this Super Bowl. Yes, I worship Joe Burrow, and I want Joe Burrow to be the second coming of Tom. All right? But forget about all that. All right? If it was Andy Dalton in the Bengals, I would still have felt the exact same way about not the exact same. I would have still been all Cincinnati for the very reason of what you're talking about. LA don't deserve shit. Okay? Those people don't care. It doesn't mean anything to them. Their owner doesn't. He's a bad guy. He's a piece of trash, and he doesn't care about the fans. He doesn't care about the sport. None of this means anything to him. Okay? He's just a monster with a lot of money. That's all he is.
Yeah.
That's all he is. The city of Cincinnati let kids out of school the day after the Super Bowl, win or lose, because they wanted it to be important. They wanted them to stay up and watch it. And if the team won, they wanted them to stay up and celebrate. Don't worry about coming to school the next day. You enjoy this. That's the kind of city that earns things like this. And one thing I know about football, or I always used to know about football is not like baseball. Football is not like basketball. You don't get to build super teams and just roll off titles. Okay? That shit happens in basketball all the time. Happens in baseball every now and then. It's never happened in the NFL until now.
True.
That team was just a super team put together. And you know the reason Sean McVay's considering retiring? Same reason Sean Payton stepped away. Because they mortgaged the future for this for so long, and now mortgage is coming due. They got no money and they got no draft picks. Well, guess what? You're going to suck the next couple of years, and that golden boy shine that you've got on you right now is all going to go away. So it's better for me to retire than to end up 6 and whatever and be exposed for being mediocre.
True, very true.
That's why he's going to retire, by the way.
Well, so there's all kind of reports out right now that his fiance said that he's not going to retire, and who knows?
And he might not. I'm just telling you. Let that team start falling apart. Let the shine get off the apple of those frosted tips just a little bit, and let's see how quickly he walks away. Pull the trigger. Because right now he's a Hall of Fame coach. Well, he goes out today. He's John Madden.
So that's what I was about to say. Let's talk about Sean McVay for about 2 seconds. He does have a standing offer from ESPN. You know, he's got an offer to come in and be basically what Tony Romo is. And I mean, think about the ratings there. Think about what he sees on the field and everything. I mean, he is as current as it gets. Super Bowl winning quarterback. How much could he be worth to a Monday Night Football broadcast? He could go to ESPN and make more than being a head coach in the NFL.
He'd be worth a ton. But here's at some point that, and he should take it, by the way, because $20 million to not do anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's at some point in time, if you're ESPN, you just look sad. You're just walking around the dance floor, and every half decent girl, you're just begging them to come to you, and they're all turning you down. If Sean McVay takes this, he's just a guy that took it when Peyton Manning said no. When all these other people that they threw a bunch of money at to try to get him to come in there have all said no. He can't.
Drew Brees, etc.
You can't land the girl. Yeah,
they might be kind of happy that they didn't land Brees, because I hadn't exactly been the biggest fan of Brees so far.
We
That's
all
early.
Assume all these guys. We all assume all these guys are going to be great. Okay, I don't know that they all are.
Exactly.
Tony is great.
No, Tony's fantastic. Tony's absolutely fantastic. Before we get off the Rams, let's talk about Aaron Donald right quick. Now, there was all this talk afterwards. Is he going to retire? Is he not? You know, he's 30 years old. He's only played for, 8 years or whatever it is. Donald did say during the Rams' victory celebration that he plans to, quote, run it back. And afterward, he said he wants to remain with the Rams as long as they bring back the whole core group of players who won Super Bowl 56. He said, if we bring everybody back, I'm back. And then he told TMZ.com.
As long as you bring back the super team, I'll play on the super team. But if you're not going to give me a super team, I'm not playing on the super team.
Well, this is the two guys that he specifically named. He said, Odell Beckham, Von Miller, we bring them guys back. Let's make it happen.
Well, that's because everybody else is already locked up for longer than that. There's nobody else to bring back. Those are the two free agents. Those are two of the mercenaries.
Now, of course, Beckham, torn ACL, might keep him out for a little while for the 2022 season.
He's gonna miss a lot of next year, but you want him back for the playoffs. So
yeah, and then of course Von Miller. Can you make it happen? I think they can make enough salary cap space to re-sign him, especially if you can get Beckham for relatively cheap, coming off of a torn ACL. Right, that's your biggest thing. I think the roster for next year should be kind of similar to this one that won the Super Bowl. But let's look back at the Super Bowl run. This was not some dominant franchise that just ran through the Super Bowl and got a title. They had to have a lot of things go in their favor, a lot of balls bouncing their way just to get to the game. And then once they got in the game, they still had to have a whole lot of things go right. So, I'm curious to see what ends up happening here, because I don't think that this team will be a whole lot different from this past one. But I also don't know that this team would be favored necessarily to win another one. You kind of feel the same way there?
No, there's no chance they'd be favored to win, and I don't know that they'd even be favored. The only thing that benefits them is they're in the NFC, and right now there's no Tom Brady, there's no Aaron Rodgers. Well, we don't really know where Aaron Rodgers is, and we're not really sure what Kyler Murray is going to do. What are the good quarterbacks that you got to go through to win the NFC? Dak, is that the best quarterback that you got to go through right now in the NFC? All the great players, all the great quarterbacks are in the AFC right now. That's true. It's not close. And with that being said, now Aaron Rodgers could move to the NFC. Kyler could stay in the NFC. There are still betting odds that you can get out there that the 49ers are like the fourth best or third best favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. You can't have those odds unless you really believe the rumors that Tom Brady's going to come out of retirement and play there. Can you give me another reason why they would be the third favorite to win the Super Bowl?
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo is a free agent. Like, they don't even have him locked up yet.
They don't even have Jimmy. So that's assuming Trey Lance is the quarterback. No, they have to have inside information that nobody else has, and they are not letting you bet them. They're not giving you 5,000, plus 5,000 odds or plus, 15,000 odds, something like that. They're not giving you 10 to 1, 15 to 1 odds on the 49ers and then letting Tom or Rodgers end up there. They're not going to allow that. They're making those odds super low. They're making them super cheap. And they're saying, if you want to get it, get it. But this is the best price you're getting because the news hasn't leaked yet. But they know something nobody else does.
Like we think the sports books believe that one of those quarterbacks is probably going to end up with the 49ers.
I don't think there's any way on earth they can have those odds there. And one of those, and they don't have inside information that there's a strong possibility that one of those guys are going to go there.
I agree. I've got three more topics that I want to hit on right quick. So let's go on and dive into them. The first one, we just got done with Valentine's Day and everything. I'm curious, have you seen the reports from, what is it? WAG. I thought I wrote it down. Maybe I didn't. No, here we go. WagsUnfiltered.com. Did you see about Stefon Diggs, my brother?
No.
So, Stefon Diggs, of course, wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, apparently had two different women in two different hotel rooms in the same hotel on Valentine's Day, and they didn't know about each other. Explain to me how you could possibly make that work by moving from room to room throughout the evening. How would that work without either of them getting suspicious?
Well, I'm not Stefon Diggs, so it's really hard for me to explain how I would do it because I'm not him, okay? He is far more athletic and far more nimble and has skills that I'm certain that I do not have, all right? Hey, you kind of was like two different women, two different hotels in the same hotel. Well, yeah, man, he's not going to be running across the street. He's not going to be driving down the road. They got to be in the same. They can't be on the same floor, but they got to be in the same hotel.
Well, of course, it's the same hotel. I get that, but I'm just excuse?
A great sick man is a great sick man. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there.
It.
I can't imagine.
The excuse you use is I want to be with you, but I like to sleep alone. I like my privacy, so I have my own room. And I will come to you whenever you want me to come to you. We'll do some Valentine stuff. You're going to throw some loving on me. And then I'm going to go do my own thing because I like my privacy. And I got my own room.
That's
I ain't
interesting.
sleeping with nobody. And then you just mosey your ass on down to the next one.
And then use the exact same lines over and over and over again. That's
right.
I mean, it's crazy. That is certainly something.
I'm mad at the news reporter for diming him out.
Well, I think the girls eventually
happy and perfectly content in this relationship.
No, the girls found out about each other
situation.
because I think they were both posting about it on Instagram at the same time. Like, I think they found out about it, so then people started to realize, wait a minute, both of these women are tagging him in stuff on Instagram, and yeah, it became like a whole thing. Apparently, everybody's fine though.
This is why you can't let them take pictures of you. Because then they can tag you all they want, and then you just tell the other one, man, but you, how am I going to do that? That's so stupid.
Like, that whole thing's ridiculous. No, I found it.
You can't, yeah, that would be a ridiculous, like, you got to be pretty brazen to accuse somebody of that, right? So, like,
oh, yeah.
You just kind of play it off. Now, if you let them take pictures of your ass, then that's on you.
I mean, the whole thing is so insane.
Look, I'm not mad. People who get mad about stuff like this, man, it's just sex. God, dog, man, Jesus, we're all grown up.
No, we're certainly that.
Doing it. And if you don't, okay? That's fine too. Do whatever makes you happy.
That's
and
it.
If doing two women in the same night in different hotel rooms makes them happy, then do that shit. I don't care.
Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Yeah, it's interesting, but that whole situation was quite hilarious.
That's wild, though. That is wild.
I couldn't imagine it. I don't even know how I'd be able to get through with a straight face.
They never make like Valentine's Hallmark movies about stuff like that, right? Like that's the kind of movie a dude wants to see, right?
Yeah, that's what I've been before.
I have a philosophy about Hallmark movies, right? Like Hallmark movies, like it always sucks to be the super successful attorney that lives in the city and is like a big shot, right?
Yeah.
Because the girl's gonna go home, see her dad one last time before he passes away, try to get his blessing for her lifestyle, moving to the city and leaving the house, not taking over the family store. And while she's there, she falls in love with her old boyfriend who now milks cows for a living. No offense to those who milk cows for a living. And you know, they rekindle the fire and the old guy loses his job, girl, right? The rich, successful, you know, Wall Street dude loses his girl. Okay.
Right.
Here's the deal. No guy likes those movies at all. No guy watches those shows at all. Okay. There's only a chick thing, right? You want to get the guys involved? I can get you the guys involved. You don't have to change the movie one bit. Just got to make it about 17 minutes longer. All right. I need one scene at the end, and it's just the Wall Street dude done found some smoking hot bimbo, just super fine chick. He took her on a private plane to a private island, and he's just plowing the hell out of her. And that's how you get guys. And guys will be like, you know what? That wasn't a bad movie.
That wasn't bad.
They'll sit through an hour and a half of boohoo bullshit that no guy wants to watch. You give them the payoff at the end, they're like, hey, man, I forgot about that guy. I totally forgot he was even in this movie. Wow. Look at this. That's what we need. That's all they need right there. And they can pick up the whole man. Now Hallmark will be like the biggest channel in the world.
Oh,
like
yes.
Everybody will watch those movies.
There's a way to get them all involved.
They already have all of the women. Then they get all of the men. And now everybody on Earth is on Hallmark. With just one scene. Just make them a little bit longer.
So Stefon, the way he did this, by the way, because both of them were tagging him and, you know, doing all this stuff on Instagram. But in both of the rooms, he had roses and rose petals just thrown out all over the place. He had rose petals in the shape of a heart on both beds. Like, this man went full out on both of them. And both of them was tagged. Like, this one of them was Alicia, and the other one was La Shante. And had the same setup for both of them. Like, flew them both out in private jets and everything.
Okay, so now we got to. First off, are flowers really that damn important to girls?
Oh yes. I have made this mistake. And I will never make the mistake again. But and it doesn't have to necessarily be flowers on Valentine's Day. But like if you do the flowers thing like once every 3 weeks or so, then you're in the clear. But
every 3 weeks. God damn. Your mama
no.
Florist. You trying to push the propaganda on me that I don't like.
I'm not talking about some $50 bouquet. I'm talking about
in bed with big florists. I don't deal with that. No, every 3 weeks.
No, I'm talking about a $5 little look nice thing from Kroger or whatever.
I need to hear on Twitter from folks out there if you're every 3 weekend, you getting in trouble too damn much.
or we're just trying to keep the peace.
Oh, maybe. I don't need to keep the peace. Listen, all right, so this is the question I really want to ask, okay? Because I can't get inside the mind of a woman, but I'm absolutely inside the mind of a Neanderthal knuckle-dragging man, okay? What would a woman have to, that you were wanting to get with, have to put in that bedroom and put on that bed for you to be okay with her being with you, knowing she's about to go and be with you, or you know you're number two, like she's coming in after you saw on Instagram the whatever, you know, montage to that guy. What would that thing have to be for you to be like, you know what? I'm all right with it. Is there anything that makes you emotional or makes you forget reason or logic, or is it just the fact that we're horny perverts and we're just like, I don't care? Like,
I'm probably gonna go with the latter. But man,
if you're gonna be with me, I don't care who you've been with. I don't care who you're coming to. It don't matter to me, you know.
Look, the older I get, you give me some good chicken wings, maybe some good ribs, some good brews, and you know, it pays off at the end of the night. And the rest of it's kind of whatever. right? Like, you
don't really care where you've been earlier today, right?
It really don't matter.
Not really worried about how you got the chicken wings.
Exactly.
Just glad that they're here.
I don't even care who paid for them.
See, this is how men and women are different. Like this is how this is things that make us. And I know, God Almighty, I'm sure that won't live. Well, thankfully, we're not famous, right?
No, I don't think so.
Because if somebody real famous said, like if Joe Rogan said that, like the internet would explode. But like nobody knows who we are, which is fine. I'm perfectly acceptable with that. So
yeah, you know what? Me too. Yeah, you give us some good barbecue.
I'm just trying to figure out. I'm not mad at Stefon. I'm impressed by him because I just don't think the female brain thinks like that.
No, I don't think so either. But
I'm surprised
I'm impressed
that
as well.
Flowers would like just make it all okay.
I'm sure that it wasn't. It's not just flowers, right? Because you watch the videos on here, and there's champagne, and there's all this other kind of stuff, like a fancy meals.
I'm gonna think some Venmo exchange can. You think that happened?
Maybe. I mean,
I'm not mad at the ladies either. I don't care.
I mean,
I don't care. I'm curious. I'm not nitpicking it because I'm upset about it. I'm curious. I would love to sit down with both these ladies. Not at the same time, by the way. No. I'm not Stefon Diggs. No. I want them one-on-one, and I'd like to just get inside their brain. I might not even ask them about Stefon. I just want to ask them about how they grew up and like tell me about your relationship with your dad. And like I'm just now curious, like what was high school like with you? And I need to get inside the brains of someone like that.
I would like to know, like, how impressed were they with the private plane that flew them in and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to know all of this. So, I don't know. Interesting stuff, though. I guess we can go back to actually talking about news and whatnot, but I like that story.
Is that we have more stuff to talk about?
Hey, I got two more things that we got to hit on.
Oh, Jesus.
That's the thing with only doing 2 shows a week, man.
But all right.
But I did like that Stefon Diggs story. That was good. Good Valentine's Day stuff. All right. The Indianapolis Colts. We had a feeling that this probably was not going to work out. And there are reports from, I believe, Chris Mortensen from ESPN. He is saying that Wentz will probably be traded or released by March 18th. And the reason March 18th is significant is because Wentz's contract calls for his full $22 million base salary to be guaranteed and for him to receive a $6.29 million roster bonus if he's still on the roster on March 18th. If he is released before then the Colts are on the hook for $15 million, but they would be off the hook for the other $13.29 million. From what you saw from Carson Wentz this past year, is there any way they keep him on the roster?
Nope, and there's not another team in football that's going to trade for it.
I don't think they will either. I don't think there's anybody who wants him up,
but nobody's going to sign him knowing that they are on the hook now for that $22 million or trade him, knowing that they'd be on the hook for that.
Yeah, no, they won't pick him up off waivers. It'll be he'll become a free agent.
He'll clear waivers. He'll become a free agent.
It's interesting. I mean, we kind of had this feeling that it wasn't going to work out. Man, the Colts gave up a first-round pick and a third-round pick and a ton of money. And I don't think they would have done that if they thought he was going to be a one and done. But
for a one-year experiment, I want all those people. God, I wish I could just get all those people that talk so much shit. You don't know. They're going to be great. Remember 2000, whatever. Like, all those people to get in the room and sit down and be like, listen, you were wrong. You were wrong. I was right. Okay? This guy can't play. And the coach and the front office over there that made that deal said it was a bum deal. I said, you're wasting not just all this money, not just all of those assets in picks, but you're also wasting years of the roster that you have. That's pretty good, by the way.
Yes. There were free agent quarterbacks last year that would have been better than Carson Wentz and cost less.
Lot better. A whole lot better. But no, we just had to go get him. Because he was an MVP candidate under Frank Reich. I don't care. That was a mirage. That was all a farce. It's not real.
You're right about that. You were right about that. All right, I'll jumping off of that, the last topic for the day. Our buddy McKinnon sent us an article, and it was a Medium article. It was from Chiefs Kingdom or whatever, discussing Eric Bienemy and Patrick Mahomes' relationship this past year and how it led to a debacle in the AFC Championship game. Now, that article, we got through it and whatnot. I didn't get to finish reading it, but I read the majority of it, and that article has since been deleted, which I found very surprising. But inside of that article, there is quite a bit of information, and it is from, Kansas City Chiefs insiders, reporters that actually cover the team, etc. And basically, let me go through some of the information here that I was able to get out. At one point, Eric Bienemy, early in the season, went off on Mahomes for absolutely nothing, according to sources. Just absolutely went bananas on him. And the quarterback coach got more involved in the passing game, et cetera. The wide receivers coach did as well. Apparently, we've talked multiple times now about Bienemy not getting these big head coaching jobs, and everybody trying to figure out what is the deal here. Why is he not getting these jobs? And the NFL was actually pushing him on franchises. There are reports that the NFL pushed for the New Orleans Saints to give Bienemy the job, and he didn't interview well. I mean, he's been up for like 15 jobs at this point. And he apparently never comes in with a good, concise plan to sell for the future of the franchise when he comes in to talk to these owners, which is a bit of an issue for sure. There was something else in here that said that basically nobody likes his overall plans for a franchise. He doesn't listen to his players. His contract allows him to call every play after the first initial game plan, so like the scripted plays, 10 to 15 plays, which might explain why the Chiefs were so much worse in the second half of games this year, which we could not figure out for the life of us what was happening with that. But apparently, all of this stuff goes on, and then in the AFC Championship game, where their offense looked like gangbusters in the first half and then could do nothing in the second half, apparently there were multiple instances where there were 3 different coaches trying to talk to Mahomes on the mic during the game, and Mahomes said, if somebody doesn't call a play, I'm going to do it. Do you find any of this, one, to be not believable, but 2, do you find that this stuff could actually be true, and this could be what might cause Bienemy to, 1, not get a head coaching job in this league, but 2, he might be on the outs with the Chiefs?
Yeah, I do think stuff like this is believable because it comes from too many different reports across too many different people in the organization. And when you have multiple people saying very similar things, that just gives it's too hard to manipulate and manufacture that kind of information, right?
Right. I mean, it's insane to think about.
Yeah, so that's what makes me believe the majority.
Up, Chris, did we lose you? I don't know if your phone got muted or what happened. Well, I suppose we have lost Chris, but that's all right. I'm gonna keep the phone turned on. We'll see if he comes back in here. There we go. Call failed. I don't know what's going on there, but either way, it was very interesting to read this about Bienemy. There we go. We got Chris back in. Chris, we got you. Up, hang on. We got to get you back onto the board here. There we go. All right, what you got?
Hey, I never lost you at all. But anyway,
strange.
No, there's just too many people involved in the leaks and in the reports and in all this for all of it to be made up. Can some of it be exaggerated? Probably, but that's how stories go.
So they said, by the way, hold on, let me interrupt you. They said that he became the play caller for the 2020 season. So after they won the Super Bowl, he then became the play caller. And now, this is 2 straight years, but his contract ran out after the 2020 season, and everybody assumed that he was going to get a head coaching job, and he didn't. So then they very quietly gave him a $1 million 1-year extension on his contract, expecting that he was going to come back and he was going to get a head coaching job after this past season. And that has not come to bear. And now they're trying to figure out what to do with him because he doesn't have a contract with Kansas City, but they also don't like the way that he's doing things. So, we have a slight issue going on with Kansas City where this is somebody that has kind of been put up on a pedestal, and yet his own team may not even like him. So give me your thoughts on that.
This is the reason. So remember, I don't know how long ago it was, we talked about, black coaches getting a raw deal in the NFL. And I talked about how this is absolutely a problem. But this is not an Eric Bienemy problem. Like, the way the media has portrayed Eric and has pushed this, it's as if they're trying to sell him. They're trying to push him. You talked about even the league is trying to push him into getting the job. That doesn't fix all of your black coaches getting a raw deal situation, okay? And I don't know why everyone thinks this one person getting a job solves all the problems, okay? If I had a job open in the NFL and I was an NFL owner, I would not be calling Eric. There's 4 or 5 black coaches that I would love to interview, sit down and talk to, and potentially hire, because I'm a huge fan of their resumes, what they've done, all of these things. Mr. Bienemy is not one of them.
Agreed. And honestly, he's still getting the interviews. It's just that he's not getting any of the jobs, which means that
maybe some minority coaches aren't getting these jobs because Eric Bienemy is getting all of these interviews instead of other more qualified, or not more qualified, but better candidates that are minorities.
Right.
We keep giving the same minority over and over again the interviews. Why don't we give other guys the interviews?
So here's the question, I guess. If the Chiefs end up not keeping him as their offensive coordinator, and I would fully expect that he will get an offensive coordinator role somewhere in the league. But what happens when that fails? Does this then become an issue going forward where he just didn't get the right opportunity? Or at what point do you think that they stop pushing this narrative that he has been done wrong, and instead it's just that he's not good with his players and maybe he's not a great play caller?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer to that, okay? That's the problem. I think the best thing they can do is to these owners start giving these black coaches more opportunities. And real legit opportunities, not bullshit Steve Wilkes opportunities where I hired a black guy to tank, and then as soon as the tank was over, I fired his ass. Like, no. That's a bullshit thing. You can't do that. But to give them real legitimate interviews, real legitimate shots at getting these jobs, give them a chance at it, because we just know their football mind is no different than a white guy's football mind. That's just how minds work. That's how the game works. Like, they're just as deserving as everyone else. They're not getting the shake. Getting Eric Bienemy a shake is not fixing the problem.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, because I think these owners realize when they bring him in for these interviews that we can't win with this guy.
I honestly think Eric is going to end up at a college somewhere, probably being a head coach. I could see him going to an HBCU or someplace like that to be a head coach. I don't think there's a power job out there available. There might be a G5 job out there available for him. But I think he could. I think if he wants to be a head coach, that's his best opportunity. If we're gonna turn the conversation to what's best for Eric, that's his best opportunity, is to go take a job where you can be a head coach and let people see how you run a program.
It's really kind of crazy to look back. So, Colorado hired Carl Durrell a couple of years ago, and there was all this talk about Eric Bienemy possibly being up for that job because he played at Colorado. And there did not appear to be a lot of interest in that situation from the Colorado side, which I found very interesting. But if there's no plan, then why would you hire him in the first place? Right? It was.
I don't know.
It seemed like a way big difference in the caliber of coach at that point. In all right, you can bring in Eric Bienemy, or you can bring in a retread like Carl Durrell, And Carl Durrell, I think at the time, was like a special teams coordinator in the NFL or something, and then went back to college. And it didn't make a ton of sense. And not that it makes a ton of sense right now, because Colorado fell off a cliff this past year. It looked like he had improved things in that first season, but regardless, that was like a COVID year. I don't know what is going to happen here, but he has such a large narrative built around him that I don't know what they're going to do. The fact that this article came out and then was deleted within just a few hours, I don't know if that is they're deleting it because the information wasn't true, or if it means that the information was true and they just didn't want it out there.
Well, and here's the deal: is I don't know is that the team called and said, "Hey, I want you to take this down," or is it the people that run the website and the paper saying, "Hey, we don't want to go this route. I want you to take this down." And I'd like to know the answer to that. If you're going to take the article down, that's fine. I would like to know who asked you to take it down. I think that's an acceptable, because if stuff's wrong, you and me talked about this off air. If stuff is wrong in the article, you print a retraction. You can't just take it down. You can't report something false about somebody and then just say, "Oh, my bad, I made up a bunch of lies, I'll take it down." No. You got to leave the lies up, and then you got to put the retraction in next to the lies so everybody in the world knows you were a liar or you got something wrong.
Well, so here's the thing. Okay? In the article, there were several instances, because this has been up for a little while. As I was reading through
it was up all day.
There were multiple instances in there of information that they had even just a little bit wrong. And they said, "Oh, okay, so this one play or this one thing was actually this. We apologize for the mistake." But they would put it in there where it was, right?
Yep, they corrected a few of the mistakes as the day went on and word came out.
And then they just took the whole thing down.
That's different. You can't take something down if you butchered a story, because that lets you off the hook, and that lets the person that you wrote about they're just done. You just roasted them, and then nobody knows why you took it down. We're all speculating now. So if this is all wrong information, I think you got to leave it up. I think this is a political move where we don't like the narrative this spins. We don't like the way this makes our organization look. Whether that be the Chiefs or whether that be the paper or the website, and we want you to take it down, and we're your employer.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. So, all right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Is there anything else that you feel like we need to talk about?
No, that's it, brother.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and I'll wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
All right, be good, buddy. All right, so that was Chris, of course. Lots to talk about, but the Eric Bienemy situation certainly looks like things might be on the move at Kansas City. Had a lot to talk about today. We certainly appreciate all of you for being here, for sure. Share the show out. Tell your friends about it. Make sure that you are subscribed if you have not already, whether that is to the podcast or the YouTube, etc. Jump into the chat. Jump into the comments. We would love to hear your opinions on these different topics. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and call this a day. You guys have been fantastic. Again, share the show out. Make sure that you are subscribed. Head over to BetUS. Tell BetUS that we sent you. We would certainly appreciate that. It's going to help out once we start reworking deals and whatnot. So go over to BetUS.com. Make sure that you get signed up over there. A ton of great bonuses and whatnot. And make sure that you go to winningcureseverything.com. With that said, you guys take care of yourself, take care of each other, and hopefully all of your tickets cash this week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment and tweet at us.